Good morning, everybody. I want to talk a little bit about something I spoke about in the previous video. Congressman Kevin McCarthy from California, who replaced Eric Cantor, who I had the discussive meeting once or twice, as our majority leader in the Congress. He sent out a tweet recently saying that George Soros, someone who I'm not sure, George Soros, if you don't know who that is, that's I think that's who Glenn Beck calls spooky guy, right? To me, he's the embodiment of like a villain from a James Bond movie or something, only he's real and he's worse. Really bad guy. The embodiment of evil. He could still do tshuva, but it's not anti-Semitic to hate the evil that he engages in. Someone, Tom Steyer, I've heard the name before, not so sure who he is, and Mike Bloomberg, that they're trying to buy the election for the Democrats or something, trying to buy whatever, something like that. And right away, everyone was like, oh, you're an anti-Semite. This is sick. To accuse someone like this of anti-Semitism. First of all, he's not an anti-Semite. Now, I know people, they're going to point out different things. Again, I'm not a Zionist, but, people will say, well, here he supports AIPAC, that means he's not anti-Semite. Then other people are going to say, well, he's, and there's a certain truth to this, but not about him, but about certain other people, that he, because, he supports Israel. Why? Because he wants all the Jews to leave America. That's not what he wants, but there are people like that. There is certainly that aspect of anti-Semitism in Zionism, but that's very rare. That's not, there are certain people who, they'll say, white nationalists who will say, have much more in common with the Democratic Party and have absolutely nothing in common with the Republican Party. People like Richard Spencer, who said that he is a Zionist for the whites. Theoretically, if he's a Zionist for the whites, he should go back to Germany, and not be in America. That's also part of the Zionism aspect is leaving where you are currently in your exile and going back where you came from. And that's why I'm not a Zionist, because I want to make the whole world a beautiful and holy place, as I said in my last video, and that's what our sages taught. We have to lift up the holy sparks that are hidden. That's why God put us into exile. It's not an accident. It's a blessing. Because of our sins, we were exiled from our land. What is sin? It means we're missing the mark. We're not perfect, but God still loves us. Even though our sins separate us from God, God is still there with us. It separates us from God, but doesn't separate God from us. God is still there. We just have to let Him in. We just have to open our hearts to Him, because He's right here. He's in our hearts already, but our hearts might be closed to that truth. We have to connect to who we really are, and that's what we really have to return to. That's what tshuva is about. We're returning back to our source, where we came from, which is God, our Creator, our Maker, and our Guide, and who loves us. And these are things that we have to learn. But back to this political issue. For the most part, when politicians are supportive of Israel. There are two reasons, and they're not anti-Semitic reasons. There are perhaps philo-Semitic reasons. There are three reasons why, particularly, the third reason applies only to Christians. The other two reasons apply in general. One is Israel's an American ally, which I'm totally on board with that. I'm 100% on board with supporting Israel as an American ally, a strategic ally. Someone who, they produce great technology and things like that. I have no problem with that. Even as an anti-Zionist, I'm very comfortable with supporting Israel as an independent country. It doesn't necessarily have to be independent. I would be perfectly happy if it became a colony of America. I understand that's never going to happen. But, things like this. The next... This is because they want Jewish votes, or the support of the Jewish people. Well, it wasn't me. I was not a witness. I didn't see it happen. I just heard it. I'm gonna keep moving and get to work. Baruch Hashem, it wasn't me. That looked like a pretty bad accident back there. Anyway, in this video, it didn't capture anything. I don't know. I'm looking at the road. I'm not looking at the video, really. Anyway, so whether it's, just to get Jewish votes, or it's in support of the Jewish people, and that's connected to the third reason, a Christian reason, which would be, something connected to eschatology, which also might be a sincere support of the Jewish people. Not every Christian who has an eschatological view of Israel necessarily sees it that the Jews will convert to Christianity, but rather that certainly they believe Jesus will be the Messiah, but that doesn't really mean that there's some conversion to Christianity. The question is, will there be a lot of Jews killed, this and that, in Armageddon, this and that? These are different aspects of eschatology. I always say, like Rabbi Lapin says, I don't care if someone thinks I'm going to heaven or hell, as long as they don't do anything to get me there any quicker. We have to unify on the things that unify us, and we have to celebrate our differences to a certain extent. And there is a beauty in celebrating differences. And, and that's something the Republican Party has to learn without changing anything. That the things that we have to offer are the values that, that the American conservative movement should be popular among religious Muslims, the American religious Muslims, who are largely not extreme, among what do they call it? What's the other? The Hispanics, religious Catholic and Protestant Hispanics. They should be all for the Republicans. Blacks, of course, should be for the Republicans. We're the ones who freed them from slavery, and we're still freeing them from slavery, and the Democrats are still enslaving them. Just they changed the mode of slavery, but they're still slaves to the Democratic Party. And we have to get this message out, and I think it is coming out more today than it used to be. You know, the same thing, the LGBT community. Here we have the president who's the most pro-gay president in history. And I heard on the radio there was a gay couple who were talking to Sean Hannity something, and they lost their job or something because they supported Trump, and people tell them that they are traitors to the gay community for supporting the most pro-gay president. You know, when Obama came into office, he said marriage is between one man and one woman, and Trump never said that. He doesn't care what people do behind closed doors, and he really hopes people don't care what he does behind closed doors. You know, it's he feels it's really not that important to him. You know, he's not a right-wing, you know, religious conservative. He's a pretty moderate, somewhat left-leaning guy who just loves America. But the old-fashioned, you know, liberalism, or the liberalism of JFK, you know, who was not that great. Just they turned him into this, you know, this saint because of this martyr, because of how he was killed. I think, you know, if he would have lived longer, it would be a different story. But anyway, this is what we got to get back to. So right away, I think Jake Tapper said, you know, this is anti-Semitic, even though this guy Steyer isn't even Jewish. He has some Jewish ancestry, but he's Episcopalian, as is Kevin McCarthy. Again, isn't Kevin McCarthy the guy on Invasion of the Body Snatchers? I heard I remember, what's that guy's name? Played Iago and Aladdin. Gilbert Gottfried. He made some kind of joke, and he mentioned, you know, character actor Kevin McCarthy. Was it Kenneth McCarthy? I don't remember. Kevin McCarthy, the same name. And it was a really disgusting joke. I shouldn't repeat that part. I shouldn't have even listened to it. But anyway, when Kevin McCarthy heard, he said, "That's so offensive. I'm a lead, not a character actor." He was very good in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So anyway, it's kind of a surreal movie if you really. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and I think that's part of the brilliance of that film, is that it doesn't follow a continuity arc if you really watch it and pay attention to it. And I don't think that's an accident. I think that's really an artistic level of beauty. But anyway, they accuse Kevin McCarthy of anti-Semitism when out of those three, Steyer is Episcopalian. Good for him. Go be a good Episcopalian. Go to church every week and be a good Christian. That's fine. And Bloomberg, probably the most Jewish of the three is Bloomberg. You know, Bloomberg was always very proud of his Jewish heritage. But he's also not that Jewish. You know, he's not that traditional. He's not. You know, he doesn't. You know, I think Ed Koch was much more Jewish than Oliver Shalom than Bloomberg. You know, I don't think Bloomberg goes to synagogue every week the way Koch did. You know, but Koch actually went to an Orthodox synagogue every week. You know, so you know these are things, you know, just to be in mind. But again, why is it anti-Semitism to call out Soros and not when people hate the president whose daughter is Jewish and son-in-law is Jewish and those are his advisors? You know, and the things that they say about his family and the attacks that they have on his family. Why is that not anti-Semitism? And my answer is that we got to stop using this term anti-Semitism. This is a Nazi ideology to have people being identified as Jewish when they have, out of those three, the only one who is somewhat Jewish is Bloomberg. Bloomberg, I know he has some connection to synagogue, things like that. Soros doesn't, not even Reform, you know. And his Steyer is not Jewish. He has some Jewish ancestry, which doesn't mean anything, you know. I don't care what your ancestry is. Judaism is a religion, not a race. Anyone from any race can convert to Judaism, and and that's why we should stop using this term Semitic and anti-Semitic and focus, because that's really giving into this Nazi ideology that we're somehow a race and not a religion, even though the Nazis also hated our religion. And we have to focus on that we are a religion, and the fact is that we have more in common as religious Jews with religious Christians and religious Muslims than we do with totally secular Jews. And again, when I say secular, I mean really, really secular. I don't mean someone who's just not frum. You know, even though al pi halacha, someone's mechal Shabbos before Hesia is considered a kofar, it loses their Jewish status. But the fact of the matter is, like Chacham Avadia said, makes a lot of sense. His psak was that if someone just says Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh HaShabbos, they go to shul, they answer Amen to Mekadesh HaShabbos, they recognize that there's something special about Shabbos that is God-given. So then they're considered Shomer Shabbos. You know, like in this week's Parsha, Va'aviv Shamar Es Davar. You know, his father cherished or guarded to cherish Shabbos, halachically speaking. Even if someone doesn't 100% keep Shabbos, but they show that Shabbos means something to them. They could have a dinner of Shomer Shabbos, and I know Rabbi Elyashiv held that even Yom Kippur is enough. That if someone, spends 5 minutes in shul on Yom Kippur, shows that they're already episayid, and they could be buried in a Jewish cemetery or so forth, And in a certain sense, that the concept of being a Shomer Shabbos includes the Yom Tovim. I heard that historically, in the times of the Second Temple, there was big problems with Chilul Shabbos among the Hamanam, and that's why Shabbos needed is chizik and certain. I've heard that historically speaking. I don't know if it's true or not. But again, let's stop accusing people of anti-Semitism just because someone happens to have some Jewish ancestry. That makes their thing is anti. This criticism of someone with some Jewish ancestry is somehow anti-Semitism. We should really get rid of this whole Nazi ideology of Jews being a race. We are not a race. We're a religion, and to a certain extent, if someone has no connections at all to our religion, they are no longer Jewish. Their yain is yain nesach. Meaning there was a havamina that a woman who's totally irreligious and atheist could not be buried in a Jewish cemetery in Israel. And they had to ask Rav Elyashiv for a psak. And so too, there's no reason to say that there's somehow anti-Jewish sentiment because someone has a political difference with somebody who happens to have a Jewish ancestry, and it seems convenient that that's only true, it's only anti-Semitic when that person's on the left. If you know, they have the chutzpah to call Ben Shapiro a white supremacist when he's an Orthodox Jew who wears a yarmulke all day. Why is, and they even call him an anti-Semite? Why isn't it anti-Semitism when they're protesting, the college kids are protesting against Ben Shapiro? Mishigas. All right, God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. Be well.